Most women don't need a stricter diet, they need structure. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm an online fitness coach who helps women drop body fat, build muscle, and gain unstoppable confidence without giving up their social life or starting over every single Monday. So, if that is the kind of video that you are interested in, hit subscribe now and let's get into it. If dieting harder actually worked, you would be done by now. What do I mean by dieting harder? Dieting harder means slashing calories or eating as little as possible in order to achieve the desired result. Okay. That means I'm talking things like the 5-2 diet, the Cambridge diet. I'm trying to think of what other ones, Herbalife, the shake diets, like anything like that. You're going to get results hard and fast, but in reality, you're not going to be able to stick to them for very long, okay? So trying to think of a more sustainable way to approach your fat loss is going to allow you to actually be able to stick to it for a long enough period of time to gain the result that you actually want. What I find when people go into this restrictive mindset, and you'll know yourself if you've done a diet in the past, as soon as you try and restrict absolutely everything, it almost makes you want things more that perhaps you didn't even want before. So it's like you've got this like scarcity about the foods that you feel like you cannot consume, and then you start eating more of these foods or craving more of these foods, or you see how much of them you can squeeze in to your calorie target. What I find works way better is little and often. So, for example, if there's still Christmas chocolate hanging around and you're eating it all thinking, I need to get rid of this, and rather than just chucking it in the bin, we're over consuming. It's telling yourself in those moments, I can have this whenever I want. I don't need to eat it all now because I've got this scarcity that I'll never be able to have it again. It's like you can eat these things whenever you want and still achieve the result that you want in a controlled manner. So for me, consistency beats restriction every time. And that's coming from someone who yo-yoed for many years while on my fitness journey, going up and down in this restriction cycle. Little and often works far better than cutting everything out. A lot of the time, the reason I think women struggle to stick to their diet, calorie deficit, meal plan, shakes, whatever it might be, is because of the lack of structure that they have around it. They are kind of shooting in the dark, not really sure what they're aiming for, what they should be expecting from it. And it's kind of why I wanted to start talking about these subjects in a bit more detail, because so many women, and I used to feel like this, felt like we should know how to do this. And that's why I ended up going and doing my qualification, becoming an in-person trainer, doing my nutrition qualification, then transitioning into becoming an online coach, was because I didn't understand, and there's so much misinformation. There were so many different things you could do. There were so many different things to try, and it felt overwhelming. I felt so overwhelmed, and I just wanted to know how to do it properly and effectively. And I had to train in order to do that. I had to gain qualifications. Had to have years of experience. And, we've now helped over 500 women within the program do the same and actually be able to gain all these tools and all this knowledge in order to know how to drop body fat, know how to build muscle, leave feeling confident in themselves and the sustainability of the plan to be able to keep it going long term. So right now you are just trying everything you can think of, but nothing's really working, and it's because you lack structure. So I always think the easiest thing that you can do is look at your week, look at time availability, look at what we're currently eating realistically, like where is it you feel like you're actually going wrong, and then come up with an easy, repeatable system that you can do week on week. That's going to allow you to remain consistent, and it simplifies it for you as well. If you're overcomplicating it, trying all these different recipes, trying all these different workouts, trying to find the next thing that's going to work, you're never giving it long enough to actually the method you're trying to actually work. You need 7 to 10 days of trying something before evaluating if it's working and then making a change. Most women will not drop a pound in 2 days and think, what's the point? We're throwing the scales at the wall. We're getting frustrated. We're giving up. 7 to 10 days of trying something in a consistent manner before trying something new or implementing changes is what we should really be aiming for. When you have an idea of the real structure, so the food you want to be aiming for, the amount of training sessions, how many steps you can actually do, your expectations are on a real life level rather than overexerting yourself to the point where you just wouldn't be able to keep up with that lifestyle, you've formed something that actually fits in that you can stick to long term. And that is why structure is so important when it comes to your fat loss results. The most common things that lack of structure causes is guilt. So when you fall off balance, when you then order the takeaway, when you go out for lunch and grab something, when you overeat in the biscuit tins because you forgot your breakfast, whatever it might be, you then feel guilty and you feel shame. And that's what keeps you stuck in this cycle of like the binge restrict, because your lack of preparation causes you to fail, and then you have to resort back to old tactics because you don't have the tools yet to choose the new tactics in those moments where things are up in the air or feel difficult. So structure plays a massive part in that. There will be a level of structure on a Monday to Thursday versus a Friday to Sunday, is what I found working with hundreds of different women. The best thing you can do to keep structure over the weekend is look at it like you would during the week. So what social plans have we got going on? When can I fit in a walk? If you've got a family, what are the kids up to? And having like a clear idea of what your expectations are for that weekend. It might mean doing a little bit of a top-up shop on a Thursday to see you through till the weekend, to save you like ordering that takeaway, maybe saving one of those viral recipes that you found to do at the weekend instead of eating the same foods could keep it exciting. Or a lot of the time I say to my clients, an oven pizza, an oven curry, even like a pasta bake, things that you can just shove in the oven so that you don't have to cook, can be that feeling of still having a treat without the massive calories of a takeaway. And by tackling the weekend in this way, you avoid those weekend blowouts because you have a structured, repeatable system that works for the weekends as it does during the week. Now, you could obviously have extreme restriction Monday to Thursday and blowouts every single weekend. You will find it very, very hard to make progress in those cycles because of the fluctuations you will get. So you'll always be going up and down 2 kilos, and that's going to look incredibly frustrating and feel incredibly frustrating. What you'll realize through more structure in the weekend, even if it is, going out for drinks and dinner and just sticking to the sea bass option, for example, you won't get the same level of fluctuations and you'll be able to achieve your result much quicker. And I promise you, you will still have just as much fun with your friends as if you were having the pizza, the pasta, the big bottle of wine, the bread basket. Like, what we're wanting in those moments is the social connection. And we don't necessarily have to treat every single meal out as a celebration, because we do all typically go out for food, etc. quite a lot. It's how we connect. And I think having more structure in those weekends can massively help you stay on track, but still enjoy your social life at the same time. If your week relies on you being motivated, I promise you it will fall apart. Motivation is a feeling. Motivation is, for me, the same as anger, sadness, happiness. It's important to understand and recognize this. Why? Because you can control it. If you are angry or if you are sad, you have the ability as a human being to get up and still go about your day. You have the ability to still show up to work, to still take your kids to football, to still meet your friend. You have all of these abilities. I want you to tackle motivation in the same way. You still have the ability to get yourself up and go for that gym session or home workout. You still have the ability to track your food and stay on plan. It is a choice in that moment. And as soon as you start to recognize that motivation is a feeling that will come and go, and that stopping relying on motivation and actually doing the hard thing even when you're not motivated is how you'll actually get the result, it becomes much easier. Hold yourself to a standard. What is your non-negotiables for the week, and what are you going to do no matter what? You have a goal you want to achieve. Most people don't achieve that goal. You are going to be in a tiny percentage. Something like 5% of people only achieve their fat loss result and actually keep it off. So you're in a tiny percentage of the population if this is something you really want to achieve. You can't behave like the other 95% of people. You have to hold yourself to a higher standard and understand that if you want to feel amazing, be confident in your clothes, have energy, live a long, healthy, happy life, You have to be in the top 5%, and that's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take hardship. It's going to take willingness to do what no one else is willing to do. And you have to be willing to show up in order to achieve it. It's not easy. And I always say that anything worth having doesn't come easily. So you have to be willing to work for it. And when you do work for it, and when you do achieve the result, I promise you the feeling of that is the best thing in the entire world, and it will all be worth it. But if you are sitting there every week relying on motivation, waiting for it to come, I'm telling you now, motivation comes from doing the hard thing, because by doing the hard thing, you get the result. And what does the result then do? The result spikes your motivation, because you're seeing it come in. You're seeing, finally, this is happening for me. And that is what spikes motivation. Motivation is reward from doing the hard stuff. So next time you want to snooze the alarm, remember that motivation is a choice. We get up and we do it anyway, even if motivation isn't there. So just to circle back and recap on what we've spoken about, you do not need less food. You need a clear structure and plan for the goal that you're trying to achieve, okay? You need a repeatable, bulletproof formula that you can do every single week that's going to allow you to be able to stick to this for long enough to get that result that you really want, okay? Extreme restriction usually leads to binging, so little and often with the things that you enjoy. Start by making small, actionable changes. Like I say, instead of going out for dinner and having 3 courses, start to change it to 2 courses, for example. If you usually have 2 bottles of wine, switch it to 1. Small, actionable changes add up over long periods of time and get you to that result. You don't need to be more strict. You just need to be more consistent with the available time that you do have. If you found this video helpful, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok for more daily updates of helpful fat loss advice that fits into everyday life, real women, real results. I'll pop the handles in the caption below, and I'll catch you in the next video.